Good day, everyone. Thanks for joining us for day one of the two-day third annual HPC-AI Advisory Council Australia Conference. My name is Brian Sparks, and I'm the Director of Worldwide Operations for the Council, and will be today's moderator. I'd like to take a quick moment to thank everyone at Pawsey for their partnership and support of this conference and for helping with the Council's mission and learning objectives. I'd also like to thank our media partners, HPC Wire, Inside HPC, Intersect 360, The Next Platform, and Scientific Computing for their ongoing coverage of the Council's worldwide conferences and activities. Obviously, we would have loved to do this conference in person, but we're happy to be able to bring this to you live over the web. And during these times, of course, we hope that everyone is safe and continues to remain healthy. We have a robust agenda for the next 3.5 hours with great topics and speakers from Pawsey, NCI, Intersect 360, LUMI, and The Ohio State University. I encourage everyone to ask questions via the Q&A window, and our presenters will try to answer them after the presentation. This webinar is being recorded and the sessions will be made publicly available, including the slides, which will be available on the Council's Australia Conference website over the coming days. With that, let me introduce you to Gilad Shainer, Chairman of the HPC Advisory Council. Gilad, welcome. Good morning. You have the floor.
Yeah, thank you very much, Brian. Let me share a few slides. Okay. I hope that you can see them.
Yep, I see them.
Okay. Cool. So thank you, Brian, for the opening. And obviously, it would be much better. We're looking forward to have a physical presence in Australia. Unfortunately, because of the situation, we are doing this event online. We do hope, by the way, that next year we'll be able to go back physically and do the event in Australia. So I'm going to start just a quick recap on the 2 days agenda. We have organized together with our partners in Australia, I think a very interesting agenda covering different topics, everything from quote unquote traditional HPC to quantum computing and applications and market analysis and so forth. So we have essentially two half days, today and tomorrow. And I do encourage you to ask questions through the options that exist through chat and so forth, and interact as much as you can, obviously. We will try to keep things on time, as you can see, because we have a full agenda. So if we cannot answer all questions, apologizing on that, and we probably would be able to follow up with the speakers after the sessions. So a little bit about the council. The council was established in 2008, many years ago, including more than 400 member companies, university research centers, and so forth. The council is running multiple programs, essentially all under the umbrella of promoting the usage and knowledge of high-performance computing capabilities, AI capabilities, and future technologies that can help us to solve the mysteries of the world. We were trying to put the logos of all members on one slide, so it's keep growing and we keep shrinking the logos just to give you a sense of all the members of the council. The council is also operating a small computing center where we're trying to build different or combinations of different kind of technologies from a computing perspective, a connectivity perspective, a memory storage, and so forth. And that enable us to explore the combination of software and hardware and how things interact with one another. What can we do in order to optimize the usage of different technology elements? What we can do in order to enable or optimize application performance and efficiencies and so forth. We are adding systems over time due to the contribution that we are receiving from our members. Definitely grateful for all the support and the donations of equipment for the council operations. On those systems, we're also running multiple best practices. So we're exploring different kind of applications, and we're publishing our results, our finding, to explain the impact of the different components on the application runtime, if those are hardware components or software components. Recently, we did add capabilities of Ampere GPUs and the Bluefield data processing units, which is kind of taking us probably to the next architecture, next supercomputing architectures, where we're actually moving to a new hybrid model of not just a GPU and a CPU, but also a hybrid model of a GPU, CPU, and DPUs, which bring further capabilities. And I believe that Professor Dike Panda will talk a little bit about their experience in utilizing DPUs and kind of bringing or enabling MPI to leverage the new hybrid model. So that's definitely going to be a very interesting talk. Here's a snapshot of the different applications that we have been exploring, profiling, and playing with on the different hardware systems that we have. We posted recently. We posted two new updates, one for Lion, another one for Milk, which are posted on the council website, and you can actually look on what we did there, what we explore. If you are interested to join us in that profiling and exploration of applications, you're more than welcome. If you do want to suggest other workloads, and obviously we are adding more and more workloads over time, please also let us know. Another activity of the council, which we are very proud, it's essentially an activity to foster the new generations of HPC professionals, scientists, researchers, and so forth. And that's by managing multiple competitions, multiple HPC-AI competitions around the world. We have the student cluster competition that's happened every year as part of the ISC conference. So we're looking forward for the next one next year. And we're looking to do that actually in hybrid model. So part of that will be online or virtual, and part of that will be physically done in Germany. That's what we're hoping for. We're also managing an annual competition in the APEC region, as well as programming workshops that bring the students further knowledge and experience in programming or learning the parallel programming and understanding the connections between, in this case, networking capabilities and the applications running on top. And we also participate in the Stanford summer workshops every year, and all in order to bring knowledge and experience and fostering the next generation of HPC folks. So looking forward, first we have the 2 days coming up, 2 half days coming up, and I'm very much looking forward for the sessions. The next conference that we'll be managing will be in October, and that is being done together with the DRAC entities in the UK, and that happened in October. So I do invite you to join us also. It's going to be online. There might be a physical part of that, meaning doing that in hybrid, but we're not sure yet. We have 2 conferences in China, and then next year we'll start in Japan in January, Switzerland in March, and then Stanford in April. Competitions, we're running, as I mentioned, 3 competitions every year. And the competition for next year, the ISC competition, right now the registration for that is open. And it will be great to have a team from Australia joining the competition there. So with that, I want to thank all the speakers that are going to join us in the next 2 days. I want to thank all the people that help to organize this conference. And I want to thank NCI and Pawsey for their collaborations over the year with us to bring this conference every year. So with that, I know, Brian, if you want to do it, I'm more than happy to do that. Mark, I want to thank you for definitely the collaborations throughout the year, and I believe that you are our first speaker.
That's right. Now is a great time to transfer it on over to Mark Stickells, Executive Director at the Pawsey Supercomputing Research Center. Mark, thank you again for helping us host this conference.
Thank you, Brian, and thank you, Gilad, for that welcome to us all. So I'll just share my screen. And just give that a second.
That's perfect, Mark.
That's in the right view for you all?
Yes, it is.
Great, thank you. So look, colleagues, thank you for this opportunity to start the conference with a welcome. In Australia, we have a tradition of acknowledging the traditional owners of the land upon which we meet. So I'd like to acknowledge and pay my respects to the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation, whose cultures and customs have nurtured and continue to nurture the land on which I stand to deliver today's conference welcome. I'd like to extend those respects to the elders of the Noongar community, past and present, and to all traditional owners of the lands upon which we meet. I'd also like to acknowledge the Wajiri Yamaji people. That's a reference to the artwork that you see on the screen and also on my shirt. The Wajiri Yamaji are the traditional owners of the land upon which the SKA project is being built and constructed, a mega science project that's powered by HPC, and I'll talk a little bit about that in my welcome. To my colleagues from Pawsey that are watching and seeing this T-shirt for the first time, we were fortunate to get a sample one that arrived yesterday, but they are coming for the staff. So this is the official release of one of the new Pawsey shirts. The story behind the artwork is a fantastic one. Meteorites, and it's a representation of Margaret as an elder in the community. Her view of the night sky, and when she's out in the middle of the desert, out on the station which hosts the telescope array, she's both drawing on thousands of years of First Nations experience with the night sky and the land, and also her recent engagement with the scientists who've looked through the night sky and provided new insight for her. So it's a great story of the two together. So we do come together in challenging times, and the importance of collaboration will be a theme that will come through my welcome. I would like, as Gilad said, to acknowledge our colleagues at NCI and all of my colleagues at Pawsey who have worked together to support this conference. You might have seen in the press there's a fair bit going on in the West with respect to our new system, and you'll have to wait until tomorrow when Ugo, our CTO, will present more of the detailed presentation about the system and what it can offer, and my colleague Anne is also going to present about the tremendous training and outreach work that we're doing as well. So I'll lead my comments to an introductory level. But there is a lot happening here in Australia, and I'm hoping we can explore it over the next couple of days. We also have great presentations from colleagues in Europe and USA and from industry, and it's a real clear indication of our times. I think the strength of our industry, that we are very international in our approach, whatever region of what's currently a fragile planet that we may call home. A special thank you to Karina, who leads our communications and marketing activities, who ensures that these sorts of things go very smoothly and with really professional and creative support. And also a shout out to John Taylor, who's going to speak to you as well. John is on our advisory board for the Capital Refresh, so we appreciate John's support at that level. I will also thank the HPC-AI team and the irrepressible Sydney Stevens, who is working studiously behind the scenes to make this all happen. It's a fantastic community of practice and information sharing. for me, this is quite a special event. I joined Pawsey in 2018, and my first public presentation was at an HPC-AI conference in Fremantle, about 4 or 5 weeks after I started, new to the world of HPC. Quite a lot's happened since then. That's quite an understatement. We've entered into now well into the second year of the pandemic, but I think we found very many ways to work together locally, nationally, and internationally, change the nature of our work. In some ways, change them forever. There really has been a wonderful effort by the team at Pawsey, and while we're going to spend time focusing on the wonderful technology that we're all supporting, I would like to open this with an acknowledgement of the team that work at Pawsey and in all of the centres that we represent and engage with. I think we continue to deliver services to the national research community. We've been standing up through a pandemic, a major capital refresh program. We've rebranded and relaunched our position as a national tier 1 centre, embracing our research history and also embracing a research frontier, which is very exciting. And I think that reflects many of the HB centres around the world that have worked kind of behind the scenes, but increasingly with great impact in areas of the response to the pandemic. Both Pawsey and NCI joined the COVID-19 HPC consortium, and with dozens of other centres contributing valuable time and expertise to respond in real time to the world of characterising the virus and developing responses. So a shout out to my colleagues at Pawsey, and a shout out to all of those in the community that are doing often underappreciated or undervalued work in very difficult times. The other point I made in my early speech, that first speech, is around the importance of our people and the importance of growing our workforce and diversity and inclusion. And I made a point that when I joined Pawsey, that there were more Marks at Pawsey than there were female colleagues. I'm pleased to say that that's no longer the case, not in a way that we sacked my fellow Marks, because they're very important colleagues who have contributed to Pawsey, but we've been very positive about engaging and diversifying our workforce. We've more than doubled the number of female colleagues in technical and professional and project management supporting roles across the business. And there's been a very strong commitment from myself and the board down to ensure that we're very positive in that area. So the last, and there's a link there to an executive forum that I've committed to really promote this initiative. Pawsey has had many highlights. I won't go through them in any detail here because we've got speakers to follow. But I think Australia now is working towards a national exascale strategy through the 2 tier 1 centres with the technology that we're building at Pawsey, and we're part of a growing global community of practice. We had major announcements in the world of the SKA in the last 12 months. So Australia has announced when the Prime Minister visited Pawsey, that wry grin on the Prime Minister's face is a layperson trying to explain to another layperson the complexities of radio astronomy and high performance computing. The Prime Minister tried to process the fact that there was going to be 131,000 of those antenna streaming data to a remote operations facility, then down to Pawsey, and then forming part of a global network of high performance computing centres streaming hundreds of petabytes of data. It really is now a project that is happening. The Square Kilometre Array organisation was incorporated as an intergovernmental organisation this year. The Australian government committed almost $400 million to the establishment of the regional centre supporting this facility, and also Australia's contribution to the construction of the telescope in Australia, in Western Australia. And similarly, other governments around the world have done the same to support both the South African and the Australian effort. It is a significant project that the HPC community will support over the next decade. The point about the SKA might have felt like it was one of the big ticket items a few years ago. But what I've reflected on this slide is the emergence in the last couple of years within Australia of a number of national strategic digital infrastructure and digital investment strategies. And at the heart of this, both Pawsey and NCI play key roles. And I think through some of the presentations that you'll see over the next 2 afternoons, evenings or mornings, wherever you are in the world, you'll see illustrations of Australia's commitment to improve the compute and data aspect of its national research infrastructure, both led through organisations like Pawsey and NCI and supported by our NREN, our National Research Internet Service, ARNet, through the Access Federation, AAF, and through our data function, the ARDC, the Australian Research Data Commons. So they're all key elements of national research infrastructure, I think, in ways that have been elevated in the last 3 to 4 years. In Western Australia, similarly, there's a significant digital infrastructure strategy, a pillar in the state's draft infrastructure strategy, with specific reference to investing in digital infrastructure to enable both the space sector to be supported and the SKA as important elements. Underpinning both of those will be advanced HPC and data infrastructure. We've launched a national quantum industry roadmap. There's also an area of commercial development with enterprises such as Quantum Brilliance developing technology and partnering with Pawsey to prototype accelerators. We're working to have in Q1 next year, as part of an HPC quantum hub here in WA, the development of testing regimes for quantum accelerator hardware in conventional classical supercomputing as part of a national effort to raise the quantum industry in Australia. And I know in other major regions this is something of considerable importance. We've also launched a national action plan for AI, and there's a $20 million commitment to establish a national AI centre, and both Pawsey and NCI will be part of the solutions that are generated out of that centre. And then finally, the Australian Space Agency has been very active, invested in the establishment of a space data facility here at Pawsey and collaborating nationally. So there's elements of many of these initiatives that I think are replicated in countries around the world, and they all have, I think, a positive tie-in to the world of HPC and advanced data support that is provided by Tier 1 centres, leading vendors and innovative research organisations. And I hope we are able to explore those over the next 2 afternoons. An important message for me is I'd like to really reinforce the value of collaboration. It feels, if I reflect a little on that at the moment, we are in a state that has a number of restrictions in terms of travel. We haven't had the same spread of COVID in our jurisdiction over the last year because of the strength of our borders, and economically we are doing quite well. Nationally, we are still managing the rollout of the vaccine and delivering and transitioning out of various restrictions in different states. While I've said that we've managed borders, in many ways we've opened up to collaborate nationally and internationally more effectively than ever. We're able to do things like these events where we can stream and work in a virtual way very effectively. There are a number of organisations that we work with on a regular basis, and I've listed a few of those. It's not as dense as the HPC-AI logo slide, Gilad. I can only aspire to that level of collaboration and network, but it also reinforces one of the strengths of the HPC-AI network is its ability to be part of a very large global community of practice and of knowledge and information sharing. In our world, organisations like the SKAO, some of our national lab colleagues, and in the region, the National Supercomputing Centre in Singapore, and obviously NCI here in WA in Canberra, are very, very important. But I'm also pleased to announce informally to this group, because we will make more formal announcements next week, but Pawsey and CSCE have entered into an MOU to collaborate around the areas of developing both of our HPE Cray EX systems and sharing knowledge building exercises between the two centres. That's really important. We're very interested in the innovative energy approaches of the CSC Lumi project and what we can do to learn, as well as apply the best system development work we can do here as well. So that's a very important message for us. We can't compete on scale here in Australia, but I think we can collaborate. We can work in a very agile way. We need to increase our appetite to innovate, to take perhaps some risks in areas we might not have taken them before, in order to accelerate the results of our research and the work that we support. And increasingly, I think that's going to involve more substantial partnerships with industry and our research organisations. The research sector in Australia has taken a significant hit in terms of its structure and in terms of financial support over the COVID pandemic. And I think new ways are going to be needed to support investment in research capability and partnerships. But in areas of crisis, there are always opportunities. So I remain positive for our sector throughout these times. While I remain positive, so I've talked about, I think, how we've come together well through difficult times. I think the importance of digital infrastructure and investment in tier one facilities and the work that we can lead through centres like Pawsey and NCI in Australia and similar tier one national facilities in other HPC-AI member organisations, and the power of collaboration. I really do want to sort of close on this welcome with a reflection on the real value in our organisations, and that's the bright and often young, seem younger and younger every year, but the bright, talented workforces that we support. Two of the key strategic pillars for Pawsey are built around people, the ability to attract and retain and develop the most important people, assets in your organisation, and also develop the right skills and training environment for continuous learning and for keeping us at the frontier of technology and its application. We're hearing the expression in Australia, the war for talent, an awful lot. And I think that's something we need to think and perhaps rethink. I'm framing here that we should be building the future workforce. One of our commitments to diversity and inclusion isn't simply about equity and ethically doing the right thing there. It's actually good business sense to grow the talent pool and to build stronger and more innovative organisations through more creative ways of employing, becoming more flexible, and creating a very positive working environment. We've had some success, I think, in the last couple of years at Pawsey, and the CSIRO, the National Science Organisation, uses us as a case study in its claims for the accreditation as a Women in STEM champion. And we've also become members of Science and Technology Australia and advocated with NCI and with NESI in New Zealand and Aero, the Australian E-Research Organisation, for the establishment of a Women in HPC chapter. So I really do want to reinforce that as a very important point to finish on here. We're going to have great presentations around technology and the innovation that it enables. But as seen by those smiling faces on the screen, which are a subset of the interns that we recruited last year over our summer intern program, and we plan to double the intake this year to, I think, almost 50 interns. And when I think that we only have, 55 staff at Pawsey, it shows you our ambition in this way. There's much more I can talk about that, but I've run out of time. What I will do is I'm keeping a quokka theme going. So for those of you that don't know what Cetonix is the scientific name for quokka, which is not a very fast marsupial, which might be inconsistent with being a supercomputing centre, but a completely happy, positive, engaged, and welcoming marsupial, and quite an iconic animal here in Western Australia. And we're very proud that that characterises, I think, what we try to do here at Pawsey. If you land at Perth Airport, which I did after doing a domestic trip a month ago, you'll see a giant quokka. It's not to scale, by the way, just to let you know, that's closer to scale than the picture. But we'd love to welcome you here in Perth and to see you next year, and to wish you all the best for the next 2 days of the conference. And with that, I'm hoping I'm on time, and I know there's a wonderful keynote to follow, and wish my best to all the speakers and offer my thanks again. So back to you, Gilad or Brian.